that resulted in the deaths of 6 million Jews and 11 million others by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. It was designated by the United Nations General Assembly resolution on 1st November 2005 during the 42nd plenary session. The resolution came after a special session was held earlier that year on 24 January 2005, during which the United Nations General Assembly marked the 60th anniversary of the liberation of the Nazi concentration camps and the end of the Holocaust. On 27 January 1945, the largest Nazi concentration and death camp was liberated by the Red Army. Media conference with Lal Goel pays its tribute on this Memorial Day and hopes that no one should be allowed even to think for genocide against any community or religion. Now coming to the main topic today, and that is Indian cinema impact on society. Since its beginning with the film Raja Harishchandra in 1913, the cinema has remained the most powerful media for the mass communication in India. Cinema has the ability to combine entertainment with communication of ideas. It has the potential appeal for its audience. It certainly leaves other media far behind in making such an appeal. As in literature, cinema has produced much which touches the innermost layers of the man. It mirrors the episodes in such a manner that leaves an impact on the coming generations. Cinema presents an image of the society in which it is born and the hopes, aspirations, frustrations, and contradictions present in any given social order. In the present era, cinema is getting replaced by small screen productions. Televised serials and programs are replacing craze. They advertise and earn revenue for industry. Thus, film telecast has become a source of further income for the industry and trade. Man has instincts, different thoughts flow which leave an effect on the minds. The person laughs with the films and tears with them. Scenes of Shahid Bhagat Singh, a film by Rajkumar Santoshi and Manoj Goswami, makes people national-minded and sentimentally involved in the film show. The film dialogue are occupying places in our real life. Dialogues of Mughal-e-Azam found place in the normal interaction of people for a long time. People talked and walked like Prithviraj, the great King Akbar. In the same way, plays by Aghast and Devdas by Sharad Chandra left a deep impact on the masses. In the same way, film Sholay created an immense effect on so many. The Indian society has been actively developing in different fields, including business, industries, education, health, as well as entertainment. With concern to the development for the entertainment purpose, the Indian cinema has played a vital role. The emergence of Indian cinema is marked in the post-independence era. During the pre-independence time, only the films like Dada Saheb Phalke's Raja Harishchandra, it was the first silent film, and Alam Ara was the first talking film. These proved to be the super hit films. Later, the movies are also made in different regional languages like Bengali, Telugu, Tamil, Gujarati, Malayalam, Oriya, etc. The period between 1940s and 1960s was regarded as the golden age of Indian cinema, as many emotional, intellectual, and thought-provoking films were produced during this time. These films gained a lot of popularity through the delivery of new and innovative ideas to the audience. Gradually, the films became an important part of the society as it would reflect the social issues, real-life situations, and general problems that were easily connectable and relatable for the audience and thus grabbed their attention. The policies change brought an evolution in the filmmaking industry. The new economic change of 1991, such as liberalization, globalization, etc., encouraged the entry of new technology in the nation. The introduction of satellite television in 1992 changed the Indian cinema and transformed it into more liberal version that was inclined towards the Western culture and criminality, etc. The Indian cinema now started representing the true picture of every event rather than the hazed image. The cinema is not only a mode of entertainment, it has transformed itself into a system that provides diverse benefits. For instance, it holds immense educative and informative values for the society. The mass of the audience is youngsters, and the educational films can prove to be a great way of grooming the young minds. Thus, the cinema can help compassing the education through teaching various subjects through the movies. The basic subjects like history and geography can be easily depicted through the movies. Also, the moral duties, responsibilities, need for hygiene, civil sense, respect for women, etc., can also be conveyed through the picturization effect. This can prove to be a complete package of entertainment with education. The films and stories have a deep influence over the minds and activities of the people. It has the power to act as a reformative instrument and expose the evils prevailing in the society, such as human trafficking, domestic violence, corruption, poverty, social exclusion, other discriminatory activities, etc. Movies and the actors have changed the minds and actions of the people. They are the paths to set new trends that have direct impacts over the social lives of the people. The audience and fans make attempts to replicate their favorite artists and aspire to build a life like them. Several movies are based upon the lives of the renowned personalities and prove to be a mode of motivation and inspiration for many people. Also, the filmmakers make movies from the writings or literary works. They picturized and visible aspect to these writings and at the same time spread the good literature values. It imparts the knowledge and understanding of different cultures, traditions, and lives of the people from the past, present, and the expected future. The movies are an amazing mode to learn about the history, civilization, practices, religions, evolutions, issues, and methods of the society. However, every coin has two faces. The negativity is complementary to the positivity. The Indian cinema is marked by certain setbacks and flaws that can adversely affect the Indian society as a whole. In an attempt to expose the bitter reality, the Indian cinema has increasingly involving itself in the promotion of violence, nudity, racial discrimination, injustice, inequality, etc. The action films often involve violence at a large extent and influence the young minds in a negative and insensitive manner. The highlights of the stereotyped religious practices, conventional ideologies, gender roles, etc., creates a tension among the members of the same society. At times, certain scenes can be abusive against a particular group or community in the society. Thus, it infringes their basic rights and also hurt their sentiments. Commercialization of the cinema has led to the loss of values and informativity. The Indian cinema is looked upon as a mode of profit by the filmmakers as well as the artists. Thus, they are making no attempts to increase the extent of the content and are concerned only to the profitability. Thus, there is a need to govern the activities of the cinema and review the movies made by them so that the basic purpose of the films is fulfilled. The audience should choose their content wisely and select the films that can bring positivity and knowledge in their lives rather than disturbance and negativity. You can find many movies that remind us about our culture and values and tell us the difference between wrong and right. Movies like Bagban and Swadesh are some of the examples that made an impact on society. As the time is changing and the society is modernizing, Indian cinema is evolving too. Now it is giving us movies like Padman, Dangal, Hindi Medium, Article 15, etc., which are creating awareness and breaking negative stereotypes of the society. Positive thoughts like gender equality, social rights, etc., are spread through these movies. Most of the Indian parents want their children to be an engineer or a doctor, but this stereotyping is changing these days because of the some movies like Three Idiots, Mary Kom, etc. Some movies like Jindagi Na Milegi Dobara are influencing youth to concentrate on their career, but at the same time, live life to its fullest. And to discuss this very, very important, very sensitive, but very relevant topic, Indian cinema impact on society. We have a very elite, knowledgeable, those who are expert in this field, panelists are with us. And I would like to invite my first panelist guest, and he is Dr. Rajiv Anand. Dr. Rajiv Anand is a senior psychiatrist and marriage counselor. Dr. Rajiv Anand passed his MBBS in 1976 and did MD in psychiatry in 1980 from King's George Medical College, Lucknow. He opted to serve his country when it was very common to settle abroad for brighter future. He has been serving society with his base in Mumbai. He has clients all over India as well as in many other countries. He was honored with Lifetime Achievement Award by AMA. Sorry, he has conducted more than 3,000 workshops for different groups and companies with audience size of 10 to 800. His television program on various channels have been widely appreciated for his forthright and practical approach. He is leading in the field of mental and emotional well-being for 41 years. He was president of IMA for 2 times. He was interviewed in several talk shows domestically and internationally. Welcome, Dr. Rajiv Anand on our show. Dr. Rajiv Anand, today's our topic is Indian cinema impact on society. And you know, whenever there is an impact on society means impact on men or women or children. And definitely you being a leading psychiatrist, definitely you are coming across with men, women, and children. And when you are coming across, definitely you are seeing the cases where the child or even the adults have been impacted by either positively or negatively by the Indian cinema. So we would like to know your views on Indian cinema impact on society. Dr. Rajiv Anand, please. Please unmute.
Thank you, Mr. Lal. Thank you for the kind introduction, and congratulations for your untiring efforts going on for last almost 22 months. Great. Let me welcome Vaishali ji, who is a celebrated scriptwriter, story writer, Asha Veya, a well-known clinical psychologist and therapist, and Vivek, whom I was chasing for last 3 months to be on the board for this program, who as usual was very busy in shooting and other activities. So we are together on this platform. Let me say in the beginning that let me acknowledge it that there's a lot of changes which has come in the film industry over the last few decades. A lot of it also is a lot of it is also a positive change, no doubt about it. Technologically, we have advanced. The directions, the music, a lot more talent which was hidden somewhere has come to the surface. And we are seeing excellent movies which we never thought the script could be written like this, like Raju Hirani's script, or many other people. Very soon Vivek is going to come out. Vivek has already has to his credit many movies. In the same breath, let it also be said, have we really done the best in the film industry? Having begun somewhere in 30s, maybe Alamara was much earlier, but V. Shantaram, Dr. Kotni's Kamar Kahani, also, if we recount those movies, which are milestone movies like Hiramoti, like Naya Daur, like Jitish Ganga Bahti Hai, like Jaagte Raho, like Grahasti or Bhai Behan, or movies based on like Bandhani, or say, let's say Sikandar Azam or Mughal Azam, we all have grown up much more than the milk and much more than the food on the diet of the cinema. None of us sitting over here, Vaishali or Asha, who is relatively younger, and we all have grown up hogging. I used to sit in a cinema theater and hog every scene, and that I continue my passion till date. Because there was so much then and so much now. Every song, every dialogue. We all remember Gumraha. We all remember songs of Bandhani, Matro Mata, Lal Tere Bao Tere. That song still bring the tear out. So they were great directors whom we cannot forget what kind of production they brought out. And they realized the potential of the cinema media, great impact which they could create. So there was till 40s, 50s, 60s, part 70s. Movies were driving home the concept of family, concept of joint family, the bigger family, the society, the respect for each other, the connectivity, the trust people could have in their neighbors and their relatives and their friends. concept of friendship, concept of traditional value system, the festivals, various kind of program where people could gather together. All this was driven home to us through the media of the cinema. In fact, most of us, including Mr. Lal, would remember that much of our personality got exposure or got shaped directly, indirectly by what we saw in the cinematic media. We all were young. We were not that intelligent. We didn't have that intellect. Intellect means to discriminate between right and wrong, fair and unfair, realistic and unrealistic. We all believed what was being shown on the screen was true. Mother losing son, mother crying, true. Somebody knocking down 10 people, true. Somebody doing this, true. Whatever we were given, same thing is happening now. Assuming that almost 40%, statistically I may be right or wrong, almost 40% population of this country's vast population is young, below 25. They may or may not have that intellect to discriminate what is realistic, what is unrealistic. They begin believing whatever is shown on the screen, that one should woo a girl, one should go to a park, one should dance around the trees, one should indulge in premarital sex, one should smoke, which is becoming less fortunately, or one should drink, which is a fashion statement, or one should kiss if you are a boyfriend to a girlfriend, otherwise she would think you are important. Now, what are we showing to the world? We are showing all the negativities and how this has come. I admire, I have good number of friends who are in the industry in almost all departments. And whenever I get chance, I interact with them. I ask them, what are you showing? Including various production houses of the TV. They say, जो बिकता है वो हमें दिखाना पड़ता है. A very strong alibi कि यही आजकल बिकता है. Now I look back कि क्या हमारे पहले के जो प्रोड्यूसर थे, केदार शर्मा, राज कपूर, शांताराम, विमल रॉय और बी आर चोपड़ा, क्या ये लोग पहले बिकने को सोचते थे कि पहले सोचते थे कि हमें क्या बनाना है, हम क्या अच्छा प्रोडक्शन बनाएंगे, और वो प्रोडक्शन जो हम बनाएंगे या जो हम उसमें आर्ट पैक करेंगे वो कितने दिलों को छुएगी. हमने सुना है कि नौशाद साहब एक गाना बनाने के लिए एक महीना उसमें लगा देते हैं. हम लोग वहां से कहां आ गए हैं. हमारे पिक्चर की प्रोडक्शन की हर चीज डिसाइड करती है क्या बिकेगा. उसमें ये भी डालना है, ये भी डालना है, बेलपुरी की तरह थोड़ा तीखा करना है, थोड़ा ये करना है, कौन सा सीन डालना है, कौन सा सेक्स डालना है, कौन सा ग्लैमर. तो हमने पिक्चर की मीडिया को, बहुत सारे लोग मेरी स्टेटमेंट को मानना नहीं चाहेंगे, ना ही मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि स्टेटमेंट एब्सोल्यूट में है. आज भी बहुत अच्छे प्रोडक्शन के हाउसेस है, आज भी बहुत अच्छे डायरेक्टर है, लेकिन बाय एंड लार्ज हमने मीडिया को बिजनेस बना दिया. और अगर हमने मीडिया को बिजनेस बना दिया तो बिजनेस के सहारे हमें सिर्फ ये टारगेट रखना है कि पिछले वाली फिल्म 200 करोड़ की किया था, ये 700 करोड़, 500 करोड़, 600 करोड़ करनी चाहिए, और ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग आकर देखें तो हमारे पिक्चर का मुनाफा हमें ज्यादा होगा. और जब इतना बड़ा बिजनेस आया तो उसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट वाले लोग भी आ गए, इंडिया से भी आ गए, पाकिस्तान से भी आ गए, दुबई से भी आ गए, इंडिया के हर कोने से आ गए, भी हम भी लगाने को तैयार हैं. हमने उस मीडिया को जो इतना इम्पोर्टेंट, इतना हेल्पफुल मीडिया था और आज भी है, हमने उसको एक कमोडिटी बना दिया, उसको एक सेल का एक प्रोडक्ट बना दिया, और वहां से इस मीडिया की वैल्यू इरोड होना शुरू हो गई. जैसे लाल ने मेंशन किया कि प्री सैटेलाइट एरा, आई सेलिब्रेट लाइक पीपल कॉल इट प्री वर्ल्ड वॉर सेकेंड, प्री पोस्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर सेकेंड. आई ऑफन से प्री केबल एरा टिल 1990 देयर वाज नो केबल. यही है जिंदगी, कौन सा सीरियल था, शफी नामदार, भक्ति बारवे, एंड सिंपल सीरियल. और हम अपने लोग, क्या सीरियल था जो पाकिस्तानी बैकग्राउंड पर था. They had certain values. People remember even now, after 35, 36 years, in the mid 80s, those serial which has come based on the Pakistan partition. So we celebrated those values, and even after decades have passed, we still cherish those values. The post-cable era began changing the scenario. Post-mobile era changed further. Then the post-OTT era. Today, the media is being used left, right, center, even though in the same breath, I would not miss mentioning it. Excellent stuff is being brought out on OTT, something which is incredible from our own Indian producer, directors, actors. But there are other people also who bring out trash, who bring out stark nudity, who bring out the scene which one wouldn't be comfortable sitting next to the daughter-in-law or to the son or to the children around. Is media to be abused in all possible way? Have we forgotten? All of us in the childhood have seen the Gemini production kid coming with the Teturi in the hand or RK Films banner. Have we forgotten that they used to be in the newspaper and news about Mahan Samajik Parivarik picture, EVM production, Prashad production, B. Nagareddy or V. Shantaram or Raj Kapoor or Vimal Roy. People used to look forward to these producers whenever they bring out any product that would be miles ahead. Have we forgotten that so much music was there that for months together we would hum that music. We would celebrate it. Even now we do it. Even now we all remember that great music which we have heard in our childhood and still can be played around and we'll be happy singing that. And they were the singers of that era, whom however we have tried to, society has tried to run very fast. That so many singers come every year in Indian industry. Have we forgotten Riyan Sehgal? Have we forgotten Chandu Atma? Have we forgotten Pankaj Malik, Mukesh? Have we forgotten Lata Mangeshkar's great song? Have we forgotten Mukesh's great song, Manada's great song, Main Kapoor's great song? No, we haven't forgotten. We can never forget. Because there was so much influence in those lyrics, in that singing, which touch our heart. Yes, I'm ready to say the movie which touch your heart could change you, could transform you, could give you new values, could motivate you to deal with the next lady in my building. I could look up at her with respect because she is auntie. The next girl of my age, I would look up to her as sister. The next gentleman staying in my building, I would look up to him uncle. Of course, I have reached my uncle stage. But the value system was this, that we would have a due respect and we would extend our best because that was majority's behavior. Now, where is now the majority's behavior? So-called majority made of youth who cannot discriminate between real and unreal. We are giving them values how to become rich fast. Movie and the TV and other things would. How many of us can say that we have houses like TV sets, serial, what they showed us? Every artist in the TV serial wears the most expensive clothes and they wear it at home. How many of us do? Every artist in the serials they show with having the best car or affluence. How many of us do really have it or can retain it to have it for long? But we are showing to the world all possible negative thing of the world, right from sex or harassing girls or proving one-upmanship because we are man, and or different kind of violence to different movies, or the power of either money or many other things. Now, many of the film directors, including Vivek, who is a thorough gentleman, who is a very sensible man, I have great respect for him. Many other people of his ilk do often say, "ये हम क्या करें? हम चाहते हैं लेकिन हम उसको ला नहीं पाते." मुझे कई बार दिल में सोचने का मन करता है, क्यों? बंगाली सिनेमा भी तो इसी कंट्री में है। बंगाली सिनेमा भी तो एक कल्चरल वैल्यूज एक जमाने से पिच करता रहा है। उनके भी तो आर्टिस्ट हैं। उन लोगों ने तो कभी सिर्फ पैसा कमाने के लिए काम नहीं किया। सुचित्रा सेन भी थी, सौमित्र चटर्जी भी थे, उत्तम कुमार भी थे। उन लोगों ने तो कभी रॉय साहब भी थे, क्या नाम, सत्यजीत रे भी थे। उन्होंने सिर्फ पैसा कमाने के लिए काम नहीं किया। उन्होंने आर्ट को प्रमोट किया। वैशाली जी, आई वुड नीड योर कमेंट आफ्टर आई फिनिश दैट। उन्होंने आर्ट को पुश किया, उन्होंने वैल्यूज को पुश किया। और हमारी जनरेशन कहाँ आ गई है? हम लोग सिर्फ वो पुश कर रहे हैं जिससे पैसा बनाया जा सकता है। I can go on this topic. I'm passionate about Indian cinema, and I'm equally passionate and concerned about the impact of the Indian cinema on the society. So I would be now eager to look forward to listen to Vaishali ji and Vivek and Asha. Back to you, Mr. Lal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raj. One moment, please. I will just, sorry. So thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv Anand, for giving your views. And Dr. Rajiv Anand clearly says that he's passionate about the cinema and the values which give on the impact on the society. And he has mentioned how the old era of the Indian cinema was really a golden era, when there were so many movies, and he has named many movies, director, producer, actors, the singers, and he says they have created, and they were not having anything in mind about only the profit or the making money. But he's quite disappointed with the new type of film industry, although he says he's having many good friends in the industry. There are few movies, and even on the OTT platform, which are doing well, which they are make in a proper way. But he says the way the criminalization, the nudity is increasing, it's a matter of concern. And he says because now people are only generally they are only after the money. They feel that how we can reach to 500 or 700 crores club. For that, they are compromising with the quality or the content which is required. And they're forgetting one thing, that the impact of these films are too much on the society. He mentioned about his childhood, how the everyone used to behave as a film actor at that time by seeing the movie and replicating them. So this shows the impact of the films in cinema was not only at that time, it is still there, but the only thing is the time has changed. New generations, new likings are there, but whether they are doing good service to the society or not, that is to be seen. So according to Dr. Rajiv Anand, he still wants to go in that olden era, those all old directors and producers, so that those values can be implicated in the society. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv Anand, for giving your very, very positive as well as practical views about the Indian cinema and impact on society. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Miss Vaishali Shah. Miss Vaishali Shah is a renowned ad filmmaker at Mumbai. She is from a famous film family. Her father, late Mr. Govind Ghanekar, partner with Shyam Bengal, and brother Mr. Girish Ghanekar were producer directors of advertising, commercials, and feature films. They both were national award winners. She learned the ropes from them at a very young age and worked her way up. Watching movies has been a staple diet since school, and this became an important part of her life thereafter. She is producing advertising commercials since 1987 through her company Enigma Film Productions with her husband, late Mr. Sanjeev Shah. They produced, directed, and created over 300 films for many brands of clients like Unilever, Godrej, Wipro, Faber, P&G, Cello, Reckitt Benckiser, etc., to name a few. Welcome, Ms. Vaishali Shah, on our show. Ms. Vaishali Shah, you have heard what Dr. Rajiv Anand has mentioned. And he mentioned about the Indian cinema and its impact on the society. And he went to the golden era of those time when it was his and my at least childhood, when we have seen those movies. You being so much associated, being the film, you have taken birth in a filmy family only because of your famous father and your brother, and even your husband, and you have worked very closely with so many big producers, directors, as well as you have created your own ad films. Nowadays, so ad films are also coming very controversial thing, but we would like to know your views on the Indian cinema impact on society. Miss Vaishali Shah, please. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, for organizing this. And thank you, Dr. Anand, for letting me be a part of this conference. It's a pleasure, really. This must be the first time that I'm doing something like this. Being a hardcore film production background, I'm used to managing the show, not participating in it. So I hope you'll think I'm good enough to do the same. Now, I've been in the business of advertising films for about 30 years or so. And I've grown up, as I've already mentioned, the staple diet of cinema, movies. Yeah. Whenever anybody's ever asked me, did you go to a film school? My answer was always no, but I went to the films. That is the biggest school that I have ever seen in my whole life. And that's where I've learned not only filmmaking, but some really important lessons of life. which I don't think anybody else could have taught me or can teach me. Coming to what Dr. Anand said, Dr. Anand, what has happened today is the mindset of the people has changed. The golden era will always remain the golden era. For every generation, there'll be a golden era. Today, the mindset is so changed, so altered because of the conditions prevailing in the country, in the society, in the media, everywhere else. So the point, the way people are looking at things, whether it's the audience, whether it's the producer, whether it's the director, whether it's a Aam Aadmi, is completely different from what it was. Money, fame, status has become so important that films also fall in the same trap. You know, for example, I mean, how can you make a film which has to make 200, 300 crores without a Shah Rukh Khan, without a Salman Khan, without a Akshay Kumar? So for a producer director, they are in a very catch-22 situation. Even when they want to do something that's meaningful, that's going to have a great impact on society, they are bound by so many things around them, which is impossible to explain, really speaking. So if I want to send a message to somebody, can I just send a message in a nicely simple, straightforward film? It's possible. It is eminently possible. Yeah. But then again, the mindset of the producer director, is he a Raju Irani? Yeah. Is he a commercial filmmaker? Is he a Ashutosh Gowarikar? Or is he a Shujit Sarkar? Or is he a Imtiaz Ali? Each has his own way of making a film. Even if I want to give a social message, I, as an individual, as a director, as a producer, have a certain way that I think and the way I imagine the audience is going to react. However, how much ever a producer director says, oh, we don't really bother about what people, we just make what we want to make. That's not true at all. I do not believe in that at all. Because at the end of it, it's the money. Because there's a financer, there's a producer, there's a director, there's an audience. These are 5 key things in a film. So I hope that answers your question. And there are directors. I'm not trying to take the side of my fraternity or the directors, but there are directors like a Shujit Sarkar, for example, who is still making a piku, and people are loving it, and it's a great commercial success. I'm sure he never expected that. But you put the things in the right perspective. You come from a clear background. Yeah, you're true to your story. Yeah, you're not trying to add one, one item number, one sexy scene. You're not trying to do that because your story doesn't need it. Yeah, so if you stick to that, I think it's eminently possible to do what is possible. I hope that answers your question. Coming back to where I was, when I was asked to speak on the impact of cinema, I mean, so many images flashed in front of my eyes. Yeah, things like, Amitabh Bachchan, Rajesh Khanna's pictures in a haircutting salon, people in a lungi kurta like Rajesh Khanna, the 6-packs fetish, the number of people I see every evening outside Shah Rukh Khan's house and Salman Khan's house, every evening, practically every evening. Then the Parle Ji, which is Gabbar Ki Pasand. Then Lux, which is Filmi Sitaron Ka Sabun. Then it's possible, it's just possible to immaculately plan a theft. Yeah, it's very easy to murder and make it look like a cardiac arrest. It's quite easy to kidnap anybody for money. No big deal in that. Couples eloping. And the other side, there was Padman, there was a gully boy, there was a toiletic from Prem Katha, there was a Yuri, there was the English. Look at the diversity. The impact of cinema, really speaking, is so diverse that even hours of discussion will not get us to any particular point, where we can all agree with everything that happened. So basically, the diverseness of cinema is incredible, and the influence of Indian film is greater, for me, according to me, I may be wrong, greater than newspaper and books combined. Now, cinema, which is so accessible, such an accessible art form, and the participation which cuts across gender, caste, creed, social status, financial status, which really, where can I see this happen, really speaking? You enter a cinema hall, you sit in the theater, once the lights are off, everybody is an audience. Everybody is audience. There is no discrimination there, which I think is a big take away for a society like ours, where there's complete discrimination, bias, and everything possible. So cinema is one place where we are all the same. Like they say, "Hamam mein sabhi nange hote hai," something like that. So that's where I come from. Now, what is so great about cinema? It is easier to see our concerns, attitudes, flaws, and strengths in films than to decipher them from the daily interaction that we have, which is why such a strong impact on people and society. So movies are different things to different people. So when I see a movie like, say, Three Idiots, what is my take home from the movie? Yeah. Do I actually feel that, oh, I must follow my dreams? Or do I think, oh man, this song is really cool? Oh God, they actually got her delivered via a video call. I mean, what is my take home? So it all, for me, it all starts and stops. Where are you coming from? Yeah. Where are you coming from? Where is your mind coming from? When you watch a movie, what is your take home in that? Yeah. Is your take home, oh, I can do this. Hey, this is really cool. Some girl who doesn't like me, doesn't reciprocate to my love, there are other ways to handle it. So there are so many diverse things that come out of a movie. For me, Indian cinema is like a buffet. It's like a buffet. It's like entertainment. You name it and it's all there. There's entertainment, there's reassurance, there is hope, there are dreams, yeah, there are call for action, there's a direction to your life. Now, what do you take from this? What can you take from this? Here, I would like to actually, one of my favorite directors, Quentin Tarantino, an international director, what people like him, we say, oh, 1 million people saw my movie. I'm so glad. I hope each one of them saw a different movie in my movie. I mean, that's where it comes from. What do you take out of it? So it all depends on what you want to take out of it, for which I think the mind, the social environment, the political scenario, the social scenario, I can't say they're responsible, but they have an effect on all this combined, I should say. Then there's a director called Woody Allen, another fabulous Woody Allen. He's one of the, I think, the best filmmakers that I have seen. Quite crazy, but that's how it is. So if he said, if my films make one more person miserable, I'll feel like I've done my part. So that's where those minds come from. So to actually talk about the impact of cinema on the society, I would rather take a few examples from today's cinema. When I say today's cinema, I'm talking about the last 12, 13 years, about 12, 13 years. A film like Swadesh, for example, yeah, it has a very strong message, a lovely message, and which is so relevant today, yeah. But that film needs a Shah Rukh Khan to be there for people to watch the film. So, but it's a very good balance in a commercial and educational, social perspective, so to say. So, did so many people come back from wherever they were earning a lot of money? Did they come back to our country to work for the country? Yeah. Did they install those pipelines to water those villages? I don't know. But I mean, after all that, the only thing I heard was the Pani Foundation by Amir Khan. So it required Amir Khan to initiate this. The politicians in our country could not do it, did not do it, didn't think it was required. So it required finally a film star to start something like that and see it through. So that is where it's coming from. Then we take a film like Raju Hirani's Three Idiots. Like I already mentioned, what is my take home from that movie? Can I really follow my dreams? If I am in the position in place of today's teenager or maybe a 23, 24-year-old, can I follow my dreams? I don't know. Do I have a family support? Do I have a father who's left me lots of money? Has he kept a house for me? Do I have a car of my own? Oh, maybe then I can think of doing that. So there are so many other things, around me, which are actually affecting me more than anything else. But the other way of looking at it is a film like Highway. If you've seen the film, Alia Bhatt starrer, Imtiaz Ali director. It's okay to talk about sexual abuse. It's okay to open out about what happened to me by a family member, which is something I think is extremely bolder than any other social causes where I come from. These are subjects which are so close to their heart, and everybody around us will not let us talk about it. Yeah, so it required a truck driver for this girl in the movie Alia Bhatt to open up to see the world. She was living in one bubble, yeah, one lavish family in Delhi who looked so modern, looked so cool, so whatever. But here is a girl who was so suppressed because of one those incidents that happened to her at a young age. But now, after I see if I was a girl of that age or younger than that, I know it's okay to talk about it. Yeah. So many other movies like it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be a transgender. So these are the things that if I have the habit of looking at positives of many things, but that's a different story. So for me, these are the films that have left a mark, will leave a mark, and I hope they continue doing so for many more generations, hopefully. Then a film like Piku, let me give you a simple example. Piku won an award at one of these screen awards, whatever, and the anchor of the show actually had said, "Oh, Shujit has made a film on constipation. I can't believe this." Can you imagine what the director went through when somebody talked about this? A film about a father-daughter relationship is converted by film savvy, film fraternity people and introduced in this way. And I mean, it so happened that the camera cut to Shujit Sarkar's face, and I could see the disdain on his face at that time. So we are coming from film fraternities, not understanding what the director is trying to say. So I don't know how much the Aam Janta is going to understand, but I hope and pray that the younger generation, especially, do understand where the filmmaker is coming from. Yeah, then what you take out of it, the buffet, is really up to you. That's something that nobody is going to be able to teach you. But there are people who are trying to do it. Yeah, and the subjects are different now. The topics are different now. The social issues are different now. The political issues are different now. The simple example I can give you on the impact of cinema is, how many films have you seen on political corruption? Have you ever seen a film on political corruption? Have you? I don't think so. Will they ever let such a film release? No, they won't. They will let such a film release when the current ruling party gets defeated and the next ruling party comes into force, is when you can always make a film on the what happened in the past. On certain social issues related to religion, caste, creed, is it possible to make a film without having 10 court cases slapped on you? It's not possible. A simple film like Padmavat, I don't think it was giving any message to anybody in this whole world. Yeah, it was a great looking film like Sanjay Leela Vaishali is fabulous at. The canvas was large, the sets were huge, everything was like, man, mind blowing. I wouldn't want to look at anything that is relevant in today's world in that movie. Even in that, there is one sect of people have a problem with the name of the film. I mean, what can you say? So what I feel is people are just waiting for the opportunities. Yeah. Now this guy is doing something. How do I get my pound of flesh from this? That's where it unfortunately ends up. Taking from what Dr. Anand said about today's OTT platforms, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, we Indians are great at spoiling a great thing that is started. A great thing that is started. Television, when it started, had the best serials, Hum Log, Ye Jo Hai Zindagi, I mean, so many of them. And look where it has come today. It started on such a high note. I remember all of us sitting and watching. Not that I ever watched Ramayana or Mahabharata, but these are so many other serials which was so nice. Yeah, which told us a lot. Which we had a laugh, great laugh, without the horrid dialogues, without the unintended puns and so on. But look where we have taken it today. It is really disheartening to watch it. Today is a time when I cannot switch on the TV. I cannot switch on the TV. So what do? I go to the OTT platform. Yes, this is something really nice, man. Look at this series, Delhi Crime, fabulous. Look at the series Panchayat, great. Look at Scam 1992, so well made. And look at the other side of the story. As soon as the commercial minds have started getting into the OTT platforms, it's going the same way that the films, television went at one time, which is really sad. So what we need actually is, if you need to impact in society, impact the society, whatever form, however you would want to do it. Yeah, it all starts here. It all starts the way you think, the what is your mindset, what are your surroundings, and what is the scenario that is around you. So, for example, I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, let me give my personal example. I watched the OTT series called The Delhi Crime, and I think it was fabulously made. When I did my research, I realized it was already made. Nobody approved the script, nobody approved the subject, nobody approved the pilot. It was already made. Yeah, so there were no 15,000 cooks who were involved in that feast. There wasn't, which is why you leave the filmmaker, leave the producer to his own, and let's see what comes out of it. Out of 10, 2 will be great, 2 will have an impact. Yeah, 8 will be trash, which our people need. Indians have so many problems. We have so many problems. There's so much poverty. There's so many problems. They need the 8 to just relax and forget about their sorrows, their grief, what conditions they are living in, what they are going through. At least those 2 out of the 10 will have an impact on society, on the generations which are here, which are yet to come, which is what I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Okay.
So that's it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vaishali Shah, for giving your views. Very, very strong views. But she has made a very, very interesting point, and her point is, in cinema hall there is no discrimination. Once the movie starts, those who are watching the show, they forget their caste, creed, religion, age, gender. They are just watching the movie. That this is the impact of the cinema on the society. And she says that to say that earlier age was good and this age is good or not good, it all depends how the people perceive the cinema. For few people, one movie is good, for others it is bad. So it all depends how you are taking it, the lessons. And she has given lots of examples of the movies, how she has taken, if she would have been in the place of in the Three Idiots or other things, whether she would have acted, whether the society would have allowed her to do those things. So according to her, cinemas are doing work, but only thing is 2 out of 10, if they are making impact, fine, because 8 are there to reduce the sorrow, the tensions, the misery of the general public, which is suffering today in India with poverty, unemployment, and education, etc., etc. So according to her, she is basically says that the cinema is doing well, except few of them who doesn't want, who are just commercialized, but otherwise there are many who are still providing good content for the audience, and which are impacting even for the society. Thank you very much, Ms. Vaishali Shah, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he is Mr. Vivek Budakochi. Mr. Vivek is a renowned filmmaker, screenplay writer, and director. He has directed many popular TV shows on prestigious satellite channels in India. His first feature film was Pied Piper in 2013. It has won many international awards, including Best Feature Film in Gothenburg Independent Film Festival, Best Screenplay in Cardiff Independent Film Festival, Best Feature Film in Delhi International Film Festival and Lumas International Film Festival, Lahore, Best Feature Film at Imagine India 2015 at Madrid, Spain. It was also shown in Panorama section of Shanghai International Film Festival 2014 and was an official selection for Mumbai Film Festival 2013, Alexandria Film Festival 2013, Berlin International Directors Launch 2014, among others. Welcome, Mr. Vivek Budakoti on our show. Mr. Vivek, you have heard what Dr. Rajiv Anand as well as what Ms. Vaishali Shah has mentioned, and both has given their views. Dr. Rajiv Anand feels that the earlier time that was the golden era where the films were making very positive impact. But today, because of this OTT and even in the cinemas, they are mainly for the money making, and that's why the impact on the society is not that positive, rather many times negative. While Miss Vaishali Shah's views were very clear, she says, yes, few are making negative, but there are movies today also which are making positive views, impact. Now, we would like to know your views on Indian cinema, impact on society. Mr. Vivek Budakoti, please. Please unmute.
Yeah. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, please.
Let me take this opportunity to thank you all, to all the esteemed panelists, and thanks to Rajiv Anand sir and Goel sir. It was a long introduction, thank you, but the worst part is I'm not a very good speaker. I can make film, I can make television, but when it comes to these kind of a debates, I'm not very good at it. Let me just confess it, but let me just explain what I think about cinema is. And cinema is a vast subject. So in my understanding, cinema, there are two kinds of cinema if I have to categorize it. One, which entertains the audience, and the other is entertain as well educate the audience, right? So that's where once you entertain and educate the audience, that's where the cinema rules comes in. We can't see cinema in isolation. I'm saying very objectively. I've heard all the panelists, but still I'm just putting it very objectively. Cinema, we can't see it in isolation. It's a part of society. It reflects the time we live in, right? For instance, if there is a problem in the society, it will get reflected in the cinema. It's not cinema's problem. And cinema and society, because it's a part of a society. It's a very very diluted form of society. So, for instance, cinema reflects society in a way. If you remember the scene from Diwar, why the angry man becomes very popular. Just to give you a very popular example.
I think you have now, that's fine. Yes.
Yeah, now I had many issues because one of my actors got COVID, so a lot of calls coming from my shoot. That's it. So, for instance, take the instance of Diwar. Diwar came in 1975. Amitabh Bachchan became a phenomenon in Diwar. And why Diwar is popular and why I'm saying cinema reflects the time we live in. Because at that time, it was an emergency. It had corruption at its peak. People were anguished. There was joblessness. There was a crime. There was a corruption. And one man represented a lot of people's anger. And he became the iconic figure. So Diwar took a lot from society. And it became an iconic figure. For instance, Rajiv Anand Sahab was saying it about Naya Daur. Again, very interesting film. If I presume that you all have seen Naya Daur picture. Naya Daur, again, was a reflective of its own time. We had partition, we had independence. After that, there was a Nehruvian era, socialist era. Chodo kal ki baatein, kal ki baat purani. At the time, B.R. Chopra Sahab, as a very conscientious filmmaker, because he was very reflective of society. उनको लगता था कि सोसाइटी में जो हो रहा है हमको रिफ्लेक्ट करना चाहिए, if not at least change ना कर पाए, at least दिखाएं तो सही. So he created a very interesting film called Naya Daur. Naya Daur, at that time, there were two constant ideology. One was a socialism, capitalism, because of Nehruji. But when B.R. Chopra Sahab made it, India was at a vortex, at a transition phase. It's slowly deviating from socialism to more of a capitalism type of economy in the 56. So how he managed to do it in a film? He said कि चलो एक काम करते हैं, एक तांगा गाड़ी, which is a very socialist thing, कि 500 लोगों को रोजगार मिलता है. And we introduced Dilip Kumar Sahab as a hero. It's a fantastic film. It reflects our cultural ethos. It reflects our rural ethos. And suddenly we see a motor gaadi coming in. So socialism contrasting with capitalism, will they be able to survive it together? That was the crux. That became the crux of the story. So at times, cinema can provide you a solution as well. So don't see cinema just as a social tool. It can very well become a very political tool. It can very well become an ideological tool as well. For instance, if I just take you back to how the cinema originated, we all know the Lumiere brothers story. But how cinema got expanded as a political tool, if you see all the Russian Revolution, which happened in 1916 and 1917 revolution, Russia was the first country which realizes the potential of cinema as a political tool, as a socio-economic tool. and they invested heavily on cinema, and they made some films which like Battleship Potemkin, Alexander Nevsky, and stuff like that. And they sort of just tried to inject their political views through cinema, and people lapped it up. That's how the communism spread it. Similarly, in India, if you see, for instance, V. Shantaram sir. V. Shantaram, very brilliant filmmaker, he made a film called Do Aankhein Baara Haath. At that time, the society was divided into a very कि अगर criminal है तो फांसी ही दे देनी चाहिए type की. So he came with the proposal that let's try and give society a chance, or the criminal a chance. Maybe हम उनको थोड़ा सा resurrect कर सकें. See, punishment is not always the best thing to do it. So that's how he made it Do Aankhein Baara Haath, and it worked wonderfully. Because cinema has always been a very symbiotic process. It operates with the vis-a-vis the society. If the society changes, cinema changes. If the society stagnates, cinema stagnates. Both nourish each other, both flourish each other. So when we see a lot of crime, when we see a lot of violence happening, is the reflective of society. It's not the other way around, right? तो सिनेमा को जब हम कई बार ब्लेम कर भी देते हैं कि यार बहुत खराब हो रहा है, बहुत अच्छी चीजें नहीं आ रही, सोसाइटी में भी तो वैल्यूज कहाँ बची है, right? We can't say the society is full of values and we all have a very good contact, we have a brilliant family structure, but film ऐसा reflect नहीं कर रही. Wrong, because film बनाने वाले भी उसी society से आते हैं, film बनाने वाले भी उसी society का part है, वो भी वही चीजें देख रहे हैं, invite कर रहे हैं. So for that way, अगर आप सिनेमा का वो देखना चाहेंगे, तो society के सामने उसे mirror लेकर खड़ा होता है. I'm talking about the good cinema. At time, it has a power to change stuff as well. For instance, the lady, she said it about this Highway, brilliant film. I take it a little further. Before Highway, there was a film called Monsoon Wedding by Meera Nairji. When we saw it, I mean, we felt ashamed कि हम बच्चों को ठीक से देख नहीं पाए, because we were not even aware कि इस तरह का child molestation भी exist करता है. By and large, it was existing. But that particular film made us aware. That particular film made us sensitized towards such issue. So that way cinema helped, right? Rajiv Saab said, Rajiv Anand, Dr. Saab said कि गाने अच्छे होते थे. I'll just give you an instant example of गाने. गाने भी जो होते थे ना, वो भी society का part होने के साथ साथ filmmaker की ideology reflect करते थे. For instance, I take a song of Raj Kapoor Saab, मेरा जूता है जापानी है पतलून हिंदुस्तानी, right? A great song by Shailendra Saab, and Raj Kapoor was a phenomenal filmmaker, Shri Char Suri. What the song reflects, India became independent. Nehruji says it needs to get industrialized. He was taking a lot of help from all the sources, be it Russia, be it America, be it blah, 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 all the countries. So गाना क्या है आपका, मेरा जूता है जापानी, ये पतलून हिंदुस्तानी, सर पे लाल टोपी रूसी, फिर भी दिल हिंदुस्तान. कि मैं भले ही सारे एलिमेंट्स, बिकॉज इंडिया इज ग्रोइंग अप, नया नया खड़ा हो रहा है बच्चे की तरह, वो बहुत सारी कंट्री से अलग अलग हेल्प ले रहा है, बट दिल से हम हिंदुस्तानी है हिंदुस्तानी. सो व्हाट कि अगर हम डिपेंडेंट है विश पे, तो उस जमाने के गाने भी रिफ्लेक्टेड होते थे उस जमाने के टाइम्स के, जो आज का दौर नहीं रहा, बिकॉज हमारी वोकैबुलरी छोटी होती जा रही है. एट दैट टाइम पीपल हैड वेरी गुड वोकैबुलरी. तो अब हमारी वोकैबुलरी की जो मीडियम्स है, वो जैसे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, इंग्लिश हो चुकी है, आधा इंग्लिश आधा हिंदी, दो चार वर्ड मराठी के आगे, गुजराती के आगे, यूपी के आगे. सो लिरिक्स में भी वही क्वालिटी आपको दिखेगी. आप एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते कि लिरिक्स की क्वालिटी 1950s और 60s की उतनी मैच्योर दिखे, because the vocabulary has changed. Now we are on a SMS vocabulary, so we get the song like personal से सवाल करती है ना, वही गुलजार साहब ही लिख रहा है.
Yes,
He's not somebody. Yeah. So मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि सिनेमा जो है ना, we always do this big mistake of thinking cinema in isolation कि ऐसा होना चाहिए purity. अगर हमारे अंदर purity नहीं, how can we see it in cinema? If we don't have the same cultural values, the same family values, it would be wrong to see that in cinema, because it's a reflection of our society. It's a reflection of our
Absolutely.
Right. So and when I say society is changing, let's put it in other words, let's say society is evolving. In which direction it's evolving, we don't know. Whether it's good or bad, similarly is getting reflected in cinema. In which direction it's evolving, we don't know.
Right.
We are still in that process. We're still in that fluid state, right? So cinema का जो ये रहा है impact, Impact is phenomenon. It has always been there. It's nothing new. Before cinema, let's take for instance, cinema does one more thing very interestingly, that it documents the time we live in as well. So cinema is a documentation, is an archival process as well. For instance, if you want to know कि 40s में हिंदुस्तान कैसा दिखता था, लखनऊ में लोग बात कैसे करते थे, महाराष्ट्र का क्या कल्चर था, so you'll have to go back and see all the films. तो उस टाइम की आपको वैल्यूज रिफ्लेक्ट करती है. अगर आप वो फिल्म देखिएगा तो आपको समझ में आएगा, अच्छा ये वो टाइम था जब पैसे वालों को बड़ी इज्जत से नहीं देखते थे. इन 40s and 50s, the hero was always a mill worker and the bad man was always a rich owner of the mills. But how things changed by the time you reaches to 40s to 90s or 2000, it became Guru for that matter. Brilliant film by Mani Ratnam sir. The ethos, the cultural ethos has changed, the values has changed. जो मिल वर्कर आपको जो पैसे वाला ग्रीडी था वो विलन था. अब उस जमाने का, अभी जब अमिताभ बच्चन के बच्चे अभिषेक बच्चन ने he became a hero. He said Sam Dam Dandaped, I want to be rich, and there's nothing wrong in that because I live in a post-industrial era, right? तो ये जो चीजें जो हम देखते आ रही हैं सोसाइटी से ही रिफ्लेक्ट करती हैं, not the other way around.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Absolutely right.
And similarly, जो आज का सिनेमा आपको देख रहा है, it may be good, bad or ugly. I'm not commenting on that. But the fact is that the reins is on a much more younger generation. They have their own fresh ideas, and we should welcome them. I mean, they will bring in a lot of sensibility which we even are unaware of. For instance, when we were young, I'm just 45. So when we were young, we had a very different way of looking at things. We had a very different perspective towards life, towards the kind of film which we used to like. My mother used to hate it. But how times, yeah, absolutely. तो मैं यही मेरा ये एफर्ट्स है कि सिनेमा को हम बहुत प्योरिस्ट की तरह नहीं देखना चाहिए, rather as a catalyst की तरह देखना चाहिए. Because उसमें होता क्या है कि हम अपने प्योरिस्ट एटीट्यूड थोप देंगे सिनेमा पे, and it will look like a La La Land film. It will be devoid of a reality we live in.
Yes,
right.
La La Land.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vivek, for giving your views. Very, very clear views where he has mentioned that the cinema is what is reflecting in the society, and he has explained. But because of the paucity of time, I would not like to summarize right now, and I have to invite my last but not the least panelist guest of today's program, and she is Miss Asha Warrior. So thank you very much, Mr. Vivek, for giving your views. Now, Miss Asha Warrior is a certified regression therapist and trainer. She is a co-founder of Clover Leaf Learning Academy and Mera Man Foundation. She is a board member, Earth Association for Regression Therapy. She has more than 16 years of hands-on experience as a therapist in various modalities like past life regression therapy, age regression and inner child integration therapy, clinical hypnotherapy, accident, surgical trauma release, constellation work, shamanic healing, music healing therapy, etc. She is gold medalist with master's degree in geology, human and animal physiology and genetics, Bhavans College, Mumbai. She is trained for transpersonal regression therapy with TASO, Netherlands, and inner child integration therapy, USA. She conducts training program for individuals and corporate houses. Her signature workshop are dance on trance, enhance, and so on. She has also authored From Mediocrity to Madness, Life is a Pure Party, a book on real life cases on regression therapy. In 2014, she presented a new concept in the world of regression, cellular rhythms in regression, a new paradigm into healing and integration at the 5th World Congress for Regression Therapy, Portugal. In 2016, the shadow sides of gods and goddesses, an Indian perspective, was the topic of her presentation in Greece at the Earth Convention. She was the chairperson for the 6th World Congress for Regression Therapies held in Goa in September 2017. Welcome, Ms. Asha Warrior, on our show. Ms. Asha Warrior, you have heard Dr. Rajiv Anand, you have heard Ms. Vaishali Shah as well as Mr. Vivek, and both all three have given their views, very, very clear views as far as the Indian cinema impact on society. Now, we would like to know your views on Indian cinema impact on society. Ms. Asha Warrior, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Goel sir, and thank you, Dr. Anand, for having me here on this platform. And I was listening to what Vaishali ji and Vivek ji mentioned about this. So probably what I'd like to bring in is the therapeutic aspect of it. I'm a fan of the Indian cinema, very strong fan. So right from the ages of probably Madhumati right up till very recent films, and also some of the films that Vaishali ji mentioned, Vivek ji mentioned, were also something I was going to bring forward, but from a therapy point of view. So if I look at the entire world of cinema, I agree with what Vivek ji said. Ki a lot of what we are looking is inspired by real life. It is a part. It comes from reality that cinema is built up. These issues are brought up and put forward in front of people. So mostly I also see when I'm looking at it as a child, this was purely for entertainment. It was for the love of probably who I idolize as hero worshipping, or looking up to them for their styles and dresses. But as you grow up, we realize that it has a huge influence on the mindset of people and an entire nation. So cinema can influence us in many ways, many ways, positive, negative, probably just trigger an action, or perhaps thinking patterns can be worked with. So when I work a lot with the conscious and subconscious minds of people. And I realized that visuals, scientifically, visuals just simply enter the subconscious mind, and they are brought up, independent of what the emotion is attached with it. Plus, when we talk about music, and like you have heard, that one of my workshops that I work with is cellular rhythms. Everything in life, everything in the universe is based on a rhythm. And when we work with this rhythm, we realize that our body responds to rhythm. We respond to music, we respond to ragas, we respond to songs. So when I work with cellular rhythms, we pick up songs which have come from Bhule Bisre Geet or maybe Binaka Geet Mala. They were the last thing people heard in those days when we had radio as the support for say 11 se 11:30 baje tak aap wahi cheezein sunte the. So what songs were we listening to as a generation in that time and zone? 70s, 80s, 90s. Those songs have influenced us. We are in the middle age right now. So those songs have influenced us and our behavior. So if I hear a song, Madhuban Khushbu deta hai, Sagar Jeevan deta hai, Jeena uska jeena hai, jo auron ko jeevan deta hai. So we respond in that manner. But today's world, probably the kids respond differently. Their songs are, something similar to, uh, isme tera ghata, mera kuch nahi jata. So it's a very different mindset when I look at how children respond. We look at my responses here. My talk will be more from how people come into therapy, what brings them. We notice a lot of ideas and ideologies and triggers that cinema brings into people's life, whether it is related to their spiritual aspect of life, which is very in depth in India. A lot of inner child work. So the movies that you brought forward, Vivek ji, you said Highway, and when Vaishali ji said Highway, even I thought of Monsoon Wedding. Ke us samay pe, those movies triggered this. It brought it forward. There was some very realistic television shows that brought forward this at that time, maybe younger days ke jo hum dekh rahe the, Udaan hai ya Hum Panch hai, ya those kind of things which brought forward these situations in life and put forth in society. But it is a reflection of society, and it is the depiction from the director's mindset. Actually, quite a few films, I really admire how the director can put forward something so simply. आप एक spiritual चीज लेके उसको इतने अच्छे से explain कर सकते हो. I work with regression therapy. I work with inner child work. Present life में क्या regression होता है? What are the problems? What are our self-esteem issues? Vishali ji is probably not here, but advertising is a very powerful medium to trigger these things in people, which eventually either educate them, make them empowered, or bring them into therapy. It brings all those kind of things forward. I see normally abhi jo hai, कि people are picking up old films again and restyling them, offering them to the new age, to bring these children in par with हमने क्या देखा था. So entertainment तो एक responsibility हो गई industry की, but it also brings a grounding in reality. तो actually क्या हो रहा है हमारे देश में, उसको दिखाना भी जरूरी है. Every person will imbibe what cinema gives based on what I think. If I am a person, जैसे विजी ने कहा कि if I am a person who was brought up thinking कि rich people are bad people, then somewhere subconsciously I have created a lack of abundance, and I am now a struggler. I keep struggling to make two ends meet. But if I'm a person who challenges that thinking and breaks that pattern, even if it's an ancestral pattern, I can be very successful in life. So mere liye this topic is a very interesting, intriguing and a very deep topic, because it creates the understanding कि अगर आप एक film लेते हो तमाशा, not many people understood the film, but it brought forward a lot of inner child aspects, aspirations, goals and understandings. तो लोगों के समझ में कभी नहीं आया, क्योंकि इंडस्ट्री जैसे इन्होंने कहा कि people go to films, to theaters, to get away from real life trauma. So if it triggers something which has been suppressed, we don't want to look at it. Or there can be another whole aspect of people who realize कि ऐसा ही कुछ मेरे साथ हुआ था, probably I need help. I need to look at it differently. I think it's great that right now there's a lot of information easily accessible to youngsters. OTT platforms की वजह से sometimes I'm concerned that that too much is available at a very young age. Sometimes I'm very thankful that they can address issues such as even Three Idiots की हम बात कर रहे हैं, उसमें हमने एक बहुत important चीज address की गई थी, which was suicide. So not to give up, whether you should or should not give up, whether you should ask for help if you feel like giving up. Relationships is another very important aspect of cinema which is addressed, and relationships के various aspects, whether surrogacy is acceptable. Do I look in for a live-in relationship? Do I look at divorce as the only aspect of getting out of a relationship? Can I try and work for it? Or do I deal with heartbreaks by probably looking at what can empower me, or what I should give up on life and become a kind of a sannyasi? So I think cinema has a huge responsibility, and it is doing it beautifully. There are so many directors who have their own thought patterns. I also interact with a lot of celebrities, TV personnel, people in front of the screen, I mean in front of the camera, behind the camera, and उनके जो ideas and आते हैं, मुझे लगता है कि for me personally, it's a very beautiful stage created to work on the mindsets of people. How people respond will depend on how they have grown up. So if they have grown up in a very sanskari kind of a space, then their answers, their expectations from cinema differ. And if people think that they've come from dysfunctional families, which in my understanding, there is no such thing as a functional family. Every family has its own dysfunctionalities if I look at it psychologically. So how best can we integrate that into our own mindsets? My backdrop is in genetics. So the human mind has its own genetic branding or banding, I would say, because even if we are 4 or 5 siblings, or maybe even 2 siblings in the current age, each person is different because our belief systems are based on what I imbibe from my environment, from my growing up years, and how my programming, that is social, economic, education and religious background, is playing up on my mind. So considering cinema as a very educative field, I would think it's very educative. How we take that education, how we imbibe it, and what we create from that is very important, because that depends on what my mind is saying. So if I just, without going too much into the mind story, Goel sir, I would say that music creates the basis of which हमारे देश में music has amazing aspects and colors, and how each person is connected to that music, the lyrics of what we are using, the songs, the ragas. We have meditative healing spaces, and we have fantastic dancing spaces, and both are healing according to me. Some people need to heal with a lot of energy release. Some people need to heal simply by breathing in soft serene music. So music is one aspect of cinema which is very healing. हम क्या message दे रहे हैं cinema में, that is I think cinema brings out hope. तो उस 2 घंटे में, 3 घंटे में, 40 minutes में, 20 minutes की भी अभी तो series बन रहे हैं, movies बन रहे हैं, short films बन रहे हैं. At the end of it, it brings out some kind of hope, because we feel चाहे कैसे भी आपकी life हो, 3 घंटे बाद वो उसको अच्छा ही होना है, कुछ ना कुछ उसमें वो resolve होके खत्म होगा. It brings forward hope for us, I think, to everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Asha Warrior. Let's hope she says that अच्छा ही होगा, and she's very positive about that, about the Indian cinema. Thank you very much. Now my question goes to Dr. Rajiv Anand. Dr. Rajiv Anand, are you there? Dr. Rajiv Anand? Yes, please. Dr. Rajiv Anand, do you agree, because what Ms. Vaishali has mentioned and even Mr. Vivek has mentioned, do you agree that the mindset is changing? And this changed mindset, that's why the latest Indian cinema is also golden era for the present time or the contemporary time. We cannot always say that the golden era was 40 to 60s, 1940 to 1960. Even this era might be a golden era for the present generation, which they will, in after 30, 40 years, they will remember this particular era and they will say that we have, that was the golden era. What your comment, please?
One simple thing, how much gold these days any woman, including two great women sitting before me, wear in real gold. They prefer wearing artificial gold. They're wearing artificial accessories and jewelry. Similarly, what was gold earlier has lost its value. We want to be impressed quickly. We are impatient. We are impulsive. We are immature. We get drawn by superficial attractions. So is with the makeup, so is with the glamour, so is with the media like cinema. So the masses wants instant entertainment, nothing more. They are not bothered about golden values of the 40s and 50s and Vimal Roy and Shantaram and Raj Kapoor and Kedarji and so on and so forth. They want instant gratification. Item hona chahiye, Nora Fateh honi chahiye, Gana hona chahiye, movie get clicked with that. So I feel at times sorry for the producers and directors that they have put themselves into fast money making machinery. They can't help it. It's too late for them, for most of them. Yet some people like Vivek are there. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv Anand. Now my question goes to Ms. Vaishali. Ms. Vaishali, what golden era Dr. Rajiv Anand was talking at that time, very few films used to come, very few movies used to be produced. And that's why even people, I'm sure Dr. Rajiv Anand can vouch for it, we used to go for the same movie twice, thrice, sometimes many, many times. So the impact of that movie comes to on our life. But today, so many movies are coming. Every day, so many new movies on OTT and this and that. So that my question to you is, do you think the impact of the Indian cinema is temporary nowadays? It's not that much on the society, which it was earlier, because we were watching the same movie several times. So we were getting that influence from that movie. But today we are watching so many movies. Today you watch a movie with a full violence, and the other day you may see some serious movie. The third day you will see something. So that it will wiped out. So what is your view about this, Miss Vaishali, please?
A lasting impact for me is a lasting impact. Yeah. So whether it's an action film, whether it has a social message, or whether it's just a fun film like Golmaal, for example, first Golmaal. Yeah, or it's a Piku, simple story, narrated beautifully, acted beautifully. So whatever era we are in, yeah, doesn't matter if I see one film just once or I see it 10 times. The impact that is, what was my mindset when I was watching that film? Yeah, what was my mindset? It depends on how I'm going to get affected by that film, how much I'm going to get affected by film on exactly that. So an everlasting impact for me is an everlasting impact. Even today, you tell me to narrate a scene from Kagaz Ke Phool or a Sahib Bibi or Gulab, I remember it like I saw it yesterday. And I must have seen it once or twice at most. You know, so I believe in that. A good film is a good film. That's it.
Good film is a good film, says Ms. Vaishali Shah. Now my question goes to Mr. Vivek. Mr. Vivek, we used to, in our time, at least we used to write even an essay, Dr. Rajiv Anand knows, Sahitya Samaj ka darpan hai. The literature is the mirror of the society. Do you think now the movies, the Indian cinema is the mirror of the society, as you are mentioning? Do you agree with this?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with it. And I have no reasons to doubt this statement, because cinema of all the art forms, be it literature, be it painting, be it poetry, be it music, and these performing arts like theater and dance, it's comprised of everything. So cinema is a whole package. It includes every art form, every music. And definitely it reflects society will name it. It has the power to influence the society. See, we have heard a definition called the cinema is like a mirror. And it can change society. Let's decipher this statement. Let's dissect it. Does cinema has the power to change society? Yes and no, probably. But does cinema work as a mirror? Okay, it works as a mirror. So how does a mirror work? Does mirror has the power to change us? No, but it will at least help us to acknowledge the flaws which we have within us. It's up to us whether we want to change it or not. So it helps that way. So cinema has a very indirect role to it, not a very direct like a medicine.
Okay. Thank
If
you.
I watch myself in the mirror, I see a pimple. Do I want to remove it?
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Now my last question goes to Miss Asha Warrier. Miss Asha Warrier, you have heard everything. Now, what message you would like to give to the youth or the young generation about the Indian cinema? What type of things they should take or not take in for their life? Miss Asha Warrior, please.
Sir, मुझे तो लगता है कि we cannot tell anybody कि क्या लेना चाहिए, क्या नहीं लेना चाहिए, simply because they will eventually take what they gel with, what they idealize, and what they connect with. So probably what they can understand from here is that if they are looking for instant gratification or they are looking for कि तुरंत मुझे ये मिल जाए और कुछ हो जाए, तो that those things, if they don't happen, like in a relationship or maybe in your success or career, और आपको लगता है कि कोई ना कोई trigger है, there is some trigger that creates a vulnerability or a void in your space, then my request would be, please seek help for whatever is triggered inside you to correct those flaws and voids. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. So viewers, you have seen today that the Indian cinema's impact on society. But whose fault is this? If we are blaming today that Indian cinema standard is going down, a golden era earlier, whose blame is this? The blame lies with the civil society. What we are doing ourselves, the same thing they are showing in the Indian cinema. What is the fault of the producer director? They are showing what is the reality. If we are involved in corruption, if we are involved in criminalization and whatnot, so that's the Indian movies as a mirror, they are reflecting us. So if we have to see the golden era, that thought-provoking time, although one of our panelists mentioned very clearly that this was the time at that time when we got the independence and Pandit Nehru wanted that things should come. So that movies were reflecting at that time. Today's Indian cinema is reflecting today's situation. So don't blame Indian cinema. Just watch inside you. Go inside, and whether we are doing the same act or not, if we are doing, the Indian cinema is showing. So if our youth are misleading, this is our fault. If we are not behaving properly, we should not be pass our blame to the Indian cinema. They are doing, yes, few of them are doing more, which is not acceptable. That they should also consider. After all, they also have their children and they also have the youth. Young generation in front of them. So what message you want to leave, that the producer and director has to see. And one of the panelists very well say that there are many good producer directors who are producing very good movies and films. It is up to us what we will take from the good movies, and it is up to us also what not to take from the bad movies. So thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, as well as shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And in our endeavor to bring to you everyday new topic in our media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. And tomorrow being Gyan Ki Pathshala, our topic is Youth Conclave on Artificial Intelligence, where 25 youth students from MBA and other post-graduations and graduations are joining Pan India, asking questions, interactive session from our chief guest will be Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, former visiting professor, IIM Lucknow and University of Texas, Dallas, USA, Senior Director, Don Bosco Group, Bangalore. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv Anand. Thank you very much, Ms. Vaishali Shah. Thank you very much, Mr. Vivek. And thank you very much, Ms. Asha, for giving insight of the Indian cinema. And I'm sure today's program is very enlightening. And my request to our viewers are, whatsoever you are watching, even for the news, it is coming tutu meme and political and this and that. It is up to you. They are the producer work or the channel work is to show you. You want to take good thing, very good. If you don't want to take a good thing, that is up to you. But if you will take good things, it is beneficial for you and it is beneficial for the next gen also. Thank you very much. And thank you all the viewers for watching our show. Thank you very much.